Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new podcast feed here on the CVCS Podcast Network. My name is Joseph Jasper. I am the executive producer of the podcast network here, and I'm really excited to introduce you to the ProU podcast. Again, a brand new podcast feed. I am joined today in the podcast studio here on campus by our high school principal, Mr. James Walker, and we're going to walk you through a little bit of what this new podcast feed is all about. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Joseph.
Yeah. Can you walk us through, first of all, what is ProU? That's a term that probably some people in our school community don't know about, but what is ProU? I think it's new this year.
Yeah, so ProU is new this year. And what we are trying to do at CVCS is create authentic learning for our students in all spheres in everything that we're doing. So we want real learning experiences with real student projects and real student work that's preparing them for life after high school, work that is for a meaningful audience, that's real people, that's not just teachers and classmates, right? Because the whole goal is, well, one, formation and encountering Christ and discovering who God made them to be and what their passions are. And we want them to be prepared for vocation and for careers. And you have a lot of students whose imaginations might be captured by a particular career. You have a lot of students who have no idea what their career is going to be, and there's a whole spectrum of people who are anywhere on that, and it depends on the day. So ProU is our attempt to introduce students to different careers and to introduce them to different professionals in a real meaningful context. And not only just interactions with speakers, but it's also the ability for them to participate in clubs and different activities that go along with courses that they're taking. So there's course pathways that they can take. So there's students who are interested in engineering. Now, we don't have an engineering academy or an engineering magnet or an engineering degree. The same with medical sciences. And entrepreneurship is one where we do have a really strong business and entrepreneurship pathway. But that's because we believe that entrepreneurship is a skill that we want all of our students to know. We're not trying to get students who are just pigeonholed into, hey, this is your major. We're still in high school, and we want it to be a well-rounded experience. And we also have students who are interested in those areas. And we have classes that lend themselves well to those things. And we have clubs that lend themselves well to those things, and teachers and faculty who are passionate about those things as well. So we took a step back and we looked and said, okay, we have strength and talent and interest in engineering and robotics, in medical sciences, and entrepreneurship. So those are the three areas where you can follow a particular course pathway that we have outlined on our school website and in our course catalogs. You can take a particular course pathway that is available to any student. And then you participate in a club, in extracurricular activities, along with other students and an adult. So that's the second part. And then the third part is participation in these ProU speaker series.
Got it. So if a student is designated as a ProU student, it's not just that they happen to take a certain number of classes and there's students in those classes that are ProU and that are not ProU, that kind of thing. It's mixed.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the speaker series itself? Because that sounds like an important component of this whole thing. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. There's a lot of amazing, talented, God-fearing, God-loving, Jesus-centered people that are connected to the school community. And they're successful at what they've done, and they've gone ahead of our students and are willing to share with them what they've learned, what their experiences are. So the ProU Speaker Series is us inviting students to come to assemblies where these adults and talented people and God-fearing, God-loving people come to campus and are willing to share their own personal experiences. Now, there's two parts to it. There's one part that is an assembly, kind of a panel that the speaker is addressed to the entire student body, and they all have to be there. And then that's followed up by a lunch meeting for the students who are in those ProU clubs. They go to the nest. There's 20 to 35-ish students. We have lunch together, and they get to ask questions to the speaker who's the guest that day.
Got it. Is it multiple clubs or is it one ProU club?
Yeah, so there are multiple clubs that all come together in ProU. And I'm glad that you asked that, because we call it ProU because it's professional university. We want them learning from professionals. So when somebody from the medical field comes in, we still want our engineering and entrepreneurship students coming there.
That's what I was going to ask,
because we want them learning how to be professional. We want them to learn from professionals. And one thing that's happened, particularly in the last few years when we have the capstone projects, one of my favorite things is that students will interact with a lawyer or a doctor or, whoever it might be in the field that they're interested in. And then they go through the capstone. And one of the conclusions they have is, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want that to be my major. And one of the things, you won't hear it on this podcast series, but we've already had these speakers come in and we're publishing these all after the fact, right?
Sure.
But one of the speakers in the lunch session was talking to the students, and they said, hey, we know that there's a lot of school and studying involved for your profession. Do you feel like you lost your 20s?
Oh, man.
And the guest said, yes. They were gone. Just gone. Like, it was all dedicated to this. And the students were kind of sitting back like wide-eyed and shocked. But then his encouragement was, but it was absolutely worth it. And when I think of the things that I missed out on, it was dating the wrong people and going to the wrong parties and starting with the wrong jobs. And I loved this. This is what I've always wanted to do. But there's a couple of students who left and were like, wow. Like, I don't know, that's a lot. I don't know if I want to do that, and same thing with entrepreneurs who are working really hard to try to get something off the ground. It's like, you have to dig deep and work hard.
Yeah.
And some of the students are like, oh, maybe not. And others are like, yeah, that's me. Let's go.
Yeah. I love it. So, it's great because there's not only the exposure to like the literal, just like job experience, but there's exposure to the wisdom that has come along with that. You mentioned that happened during like a lunch meeting, like an after the assembly kind of thing. What stuff is going to be on this podcast feed? What's designated for publishing and what is not going to, what's not available on this podcast feed, I guess?
Yeah. So the not available is those lunch meetings where students are asking individual questions and they're very personalized and it's a smaller setting and very geared towards individual people. What
awesome.
Is heard in these podcasts that we recorded are things that are meant for the entire student body, for any student who's there. And it's not as particular, but it's more of just kind of an overview of tell us about your job. How did you get there? How did you know that you wanted to do this? When you think about yourself in high school, what would you say to yourself then that you wish somebody said to you? Or you're speaking to a room full of high schoolers, what would your encouragement to them be?
That's cool,
One of the things we talk about is, hey, when you think about your quality of life, what are some things you wish you did differently or things that you've learned? And of course, central in all of this is what does that mean for your faith and who you are as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus? How does that fit into your career and the things that you're passionate about and the things that they enabled you to do as a follower of Jesus too?
Yeah. How often do we have a speaker on campus and how often consequently do these episodes drop on the feed?
Yeah, so this is our first year. We did 4. So about 1 per quarter. We've thought about doing more, but we also realize that there's kind of a potentially a law of diminishing returns thing.
Sure.
The months that we didn't do it are the first months of the school year, and we're not going to do it in the month of May because,
it's true.
And we also didn't do it in December because finals weeks are approaching. It's like, hey, we know that you want to be studying and you're all freaked out, but let's listen to a professional talk to you about this. So that's where the first year we did 4. I think we're going to keep with a pretty similar model in the future as well.
That's awesome. Last question for you. What are you personally most excited about with the fact that these are going to be published now to the school community, really actually to the world in some sense? What do you hope our audience gets out of listening to these?
Our 4 guests were amazing this year. Just incredible. And it was one of those things where I thought, man, what a treasure trove. I think we think of lessons to learn from, as Christians, it's like chapel messages and sermons. And these are people who are sharing, from kind of the sermon of their life in a lot of ways. We talk a lot in schools and Christian education about the integration of faith and learning. But these are people who have lived it out and they're willing to share it with others. And I'm just excited that the stories of these people, the wisdom of these people who have who have managed to be successful in their fields, and who are generous and hospitable and being willing to share because of the types of people that they are. Those are just the stories and the messages and perspectives that I want as many people to hear as possible.
That's awesome.
I want our students to hear it, but I also want our students who heard it to go back and listen again.
Yeah.
And for parents to hear it, and for friends to hear it, whatever it might be, just because there's so much wisdom to be gathered from the experiences of others. And unless you know a person personally, you don't really get to learn from them that much. So to have somebody who's willing to share that with an entire student body and anybody who's willing to listen is a gift.
It's special. It's really exciting. I'm excited that this feed is coming to our network. I'm excited for getting these tremendous messages and stories out there. I'm thankful to you to coming into the studio and introducing it for us. And at this point, we're gonna end this episode and just say to our audience, thank you for listening as always. Enjoy these episodes. And if you want to reach out to us at all, you can email us at podcasts@cvcs.org. You can also email Mr. Walker, of course. You can find his email on our website. But yeah, thank you for listening. Any last words or sign off, Mr. Walker?
Thanks for listening. Go Eagles.
This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. CVCS is a Christian TK through 12 school in San Juan Capistrano, California. Please visit cvcs.org/podcasts to listen to the variety of shows our students produce on our campus. You can also find all of our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and others. We would also appreciate you subscribing to and leaving a review of this show and the other shows on our network in your podcast player of choice. If you have any questions or would like to reach out to us, please email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the school, this is Mr. Jasper, the executive producer of the Podcast Network. Thank you for listening and stay tuned for more.